Hello everyone, I am Hatice from Matthew Philosophy Department. As you all know, our school Matthew provide us English education. Turkish is our mother tongue, but despite this, our exams and class are in English. And this contradiction made me think, what was the difference between English and other languages? I thought that it could have such an impact on different areas of education, economics, technology of other countries. That's why I chose this topic. Today, I will talk about the spread of English language and its connection with the linguistic imperialism. I divided my presentation into 7 sections. Here is my outline. First of all, I'll explain the independent concepts of linguistic and imperialism. Then, I will explain the reason of spreading English from Brashkraichev's view and lingua franca. After all, I will explain where is the point of the spreading English in linguistic imperialism from Robert Phillipson's view. To continue, I will talk about language imperialism and foreign language learning. Then, the cultural effects of English imperialism. Lastly, I will talk about feature of English language imperialism. As a little warning, I will also include many subheadings when I talk about these topics. To begin, let's have a look at linguistics dictionary meaning. According to Merriam-Webster dictionary, linguistic is the study of human speech including the units, nature, structure, and the modification of language. And according to Cambridge definition, imperialism is a system in which a country rules other countries, sometimes having used force to get power over them. For our subject, power is language in linguistic imperialism. According to Rhodes, linguistic imperialism is a term used to conceptualize the dominance of the language over the others. It is also known as linguistic nationalism, linguistic dominance, and language imperialism. So, to understand the existence of language imperialism, we should go back in the history and show the methods of spreading English. Today, we are missing many areas without speaking English, but hundreds of years ago, the English language that we know today didn't really exist. It is sort of put together gradually by different historical events. Let's have a general information about them. We can start the subject of early English literature for understanding spread of English. The first significant step in the progress of English towards its status as a global language didn't take place before the end of the 16th century. By end of the reign of Elizabeth in 1603, literature had boomed through the works of Marlowe and Shakespeare. You can see their picture on the screen. Now we will learn colonialism effects on English, but before it we should learn Brashkraichev's theory, then its relation with this presentation. I have to mention about 3 circles of English firstly. As we all know, the way of linguistic colonization is about establishing hegemony through their language policies. The expansion of British Empire in the 17th century shows that. The first, English had more large scale thanks to migration of the English speakers from England, Scotland, Ireland to America, New Zealand and Australia. Because of this, English language gradually developed into the mother tongue varieties such as American English or Australian English. After that, Britain expanded its colonies in Africa and Asia. This colonization led to the development of many second language varieties of English, what is often called New Englishes, such as Indian English. After colonialism, we should look at other important events. Because of the Industrial Revolution, mechanization and the use of technology increased. As you all know, the foundation of the Industrial Revolution were laid in Britain and then it spread all over the world. The auxiliary tool for the dissemination of industrial activities is English. After that, British American became the leader state of technology, has gained appreciation in markets. As a result of the dominance in economic markets, the English language has become widespread in every areas. With the globalization effect and the role of technology, the earlier definition of colonization has changed to formation of electronic colonization. After all, English became the language that allowed to the world to communicate, which is called lingua franca. To understand this term, here is a definition. According to Samarin, lingua franca, which term is designated any lingual medium of communication between people of different mother tongues for whom it's a second language. Lingua franca has used in the history of mankind for commercial, religious, and diplomatic purposes. Lingua franca changed by the time. Today, the global word lingua franca is English for many different areas. For example, international organizations such as United Nations speaks English as an organization language. Or we can mention that science have accepted English as official language too. This dominance of English is connected with the spread of English all over the world. Here is a chart that shows us what language are used in scientific publications over the time. We can see that efficiency of English. The ratio is increasing every passing year. For now, we have learned the theory of brush cut-through and the ways of English spreading. Then, we will question whether English is suitable for the definition of language imperialism. To begin, basically, yes, we can consider English language as an imperialism example because of its way of being lingua franca and spreading all over the world. Here, the most important property is forcing for English speaking. In history, people were left in the need of the English language in order to continue their lives. For example, colonies and economic-based purposes. But for doing this classification, we will get help from the founder of this concept, language imperialism, by Robert Phillipson. He describes linguistic imperialism with a structure of imperialism in culture, education, the media, communication, the economy, politics, and the military activities. In essence, it's about exploitation, injustice, inequality, and the hierarchy that privileges those who are able to use the dominant language. It is structural. More material resources and infrastructure are accorded to dominant language than to others. It is ideological. Beliefs, attitudes, and the imaginary glorify the dominant language, stigmatize others, and rationalize the linguistic hierarchy. The dominance is hegemonic. It is internalized and naturalized as being normal. continue, this entails unequal rights for speakers of different languages. Language use is often subtractive, proficiency in the imperial language and in learning it in education involving its consolidation at the expense of other languages. It is a form of linguicism, a favoring of one language over others in ways that parallels societal structuring through racism, sexism, and class. Linguicism serves the privileged users of standard forms of the dominant language, which represent convertible linguistic capital. Linguistic imperialism is invariably contested and resisted. So, what about the language imperialism and education? In foreign language education, the dominant language produces and exports all kinds of methods, techniques, and materials related to the language education. This is called center language, and center sees this right in itself, except in satellite countries. In this way, the production of methods, techniques, and materials falls into the hands of the center. The countries teach that the dominant language of the center play the role of consuming them. In satellite countries, there is no production in this direction. The role of the technician is sufficient for them. They continue their foreign language education in accordance with the framework drawn by the center. In a way, according to Rogers, their self-confidence has been exhausted, and their brains have been colonized, not only their country. Even this point of view, many countries continue to teach English. According to Kawahara and Yamamoto, the European Union primary schools teach English from the grade 1 as a part of the mother tongue plus 2 foreign language policy. Hannah and other researchers says in Malaysia, Singapore is taught English from grades 1. Countries such as China and Korea teach English from grade 3 onwards, and Japan teach English at grades 5 and 6. Now we will talk about the role of textbook in the popularization of English. As with English teaching methods, there are also considered to be a number of basic elements in the material used in the lessons. The reading parts in the textbook use the sentences used when transferring grammar glorify British and American culture. For example, in the textbook opportunities, there is an expression, when a man is tired of London, he is tired of life, in a section called Culture Corner. Furthermore, looking at these subjects in this book, the royal family, Hollywood, McDonald's, Coca-Cola, Harrods Department Store, Times Square, Big Ben are identified with the UK and America. Now we will look at another important subject, that is cultural effects of linguistic imperialism. According to Johnson, there is no way in which someone can learn a language without accepting the culture that comes with it. He means that language is not culture free. Therefore, if one is to communicate effectively in a foreign or second language, one cannot ignore the cultural context which gives the words broader meanings. A language arises with the cultural elements. Culture is an interaction in itself and the carrier of its language. As a simple example of this, hip-hop, a musical genre developed by American African citizens in America in the 1970s, is being listened to in a way that has spread all over the world. The fact that they expressed their suffering from slavery with the music made this genre a kind of music that could be listened to not only for African Americans but for the whole world. Although there are artists or musicians who make this music in other languages, as it spreads around the world, it is mainly developed taking into account the rhyme and rhythm harmony of the English language. Therefore, without English, this music genre becomes meaningless. In this, learning English and using English becomes inevitable. Here is another important issue. How does language imperialism affect society? Language imperialism is the first application that can be made to destroy a society. Because a society loses its language, loses itself and culture at the same time. I want to tell you a famous story in Turkey. In the 18th, a Japanese person comes to the Ottoman Empire as an ambassador. He has been a guest at the palace for a long time and returns to Japan and reports what he saw. He said that the Ottoman will disappear in the near future. Furthermore, he added, the given justification is interesting. In Ottoman Empire, the elite speaks Persian and Arabic, and the public speaks Turkish. The destruction of unity within the country begins from the language. So, after years, Ottoman will disappear and Japan was right because of the destruction of unity language. Even there are many negative effects of English imperialism, you may also have benefits from it. So let's have a look at benefits of speaking English in today's world. If you can speak English, you can find a job easily and there are good career opportunities for you. You can travel the world, you can have an education in abroad, you can follow the agenda in global sense, you can have new friends and you can be a social person thanks to your language abilities. You may also learn a lot of things from other cultures that broaden your horizon, your view, and you may also follow international events such as musical songs and concerts, cinema, and art. So, what about the future of English imperialism? According to Warsaw, globalization in education, economy, and technology will make English the one in the world to use one common language for all of them. I totally agree with this statement. Furthermore, in order to change the influence of a language, the economic and social balances in a global sense must also change. For example, the Greeks, who were once masters in the field of science and philosophy, made Greek the lingua franca for Anatolia and the European region. But due to the changing country situation over time, English has achieved this superiority. And still a lot of people today continue to study English. So far, English has the largest number of people that a lingua franca can cover. That is why it is very difficult for its lose effectiveness over the centuries. To conclude, in today's video, I mentioned the topics of the meaning of linguistics, imperialism, and their combination meaning, the spread of English, Brashkaich's theory, lingua franca, linguistic imperialism for Robert Philipson, cultural effects of linguistic imperialism, language imperialism in education, sorry, and future of English language imperialism. In this way, we have examined the decency of the language among other languages historically and theoretically. Millions of people are being directed to learn foreign languages and are exposed to it. Here, learning English language is absolutely not negative. It is only criticized for trying to impose the language on people but unawarely, which means using inactive force. That is, to learn a language while being under the yoke of the countries that speaks language is imperialism. In fact, as I mentioned before in the presentation, this can sometimes be forced, for example, colonization, or sometimes subliminal messages in media, books, or music. In short, we should not lose our vocal values, for example, our local language or culture, while learning English, so that there is no imperialism more. Also, if we are going to characterize ourselves as a world person, we must respect the lingua franca and learn English in the best way. If you're interested in this subject and want to learn more, you can check out the sites and essays. There are all my references for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I will give you just a second for looking at these references. This is first page. And this is my second references page. So, last thing to say, before you close this video, I recommended you another video on YouTube, because after learning historical background of English, you can enjoy another historical videos on YouTube. Actually, I was going to include this recommended video in my presentation, but due to the time limit, I only suggest you. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Bye bye.